The alien fleet floated in silence above the blue planet. No power. No communication. No light except for the cold glow of distant stars. Commander Redhar sat in the dark command deck of the Orelise, staring at the dead controls. The ship was completely frozen. The engines would not start, the screens were blank, and even emergency systems refused to respond. Across the window, Earth looked calm, too calm. The oceans shimmered in soft blue, clouds drifted slowly, and the lights of human cities glowed faintly beneath the night side. Nothing moved in orbit. No ships. No defenses. Nothing that looked dangerous. Yet, one by one, alien vessels kept disappearing into that quiet darkness. "Commander," said one of the technicians, her voice trembling. "We lost contact with the Varnak, Tyrion, and Oshkar. That's half our scouting line." Redhar didn't answer. He was watching the energy readings on his wrist scanner, strange waves that moved like a heartbeat around Earth. Every time one of the waves passed, another alien ship went silent. Something was controlling space itself. "Try emergency power again," Redhar ordered. The crew obeyed. Sparks flashed, systems hummed for a second, then everything died again. The lights dimmed to black. "Something's draining us," said the technician. "Like our energy is being pulled away." Redhar turned to his second officer. "Send a distress signal to the council." "We can't," the officer said. "The signal keeps looping back. It doesn't leave the system." Rethar's throat went dry. "That means?" "Yes," the officer whispered. "They trapped us." Far below, on the surface of Earth, deep under a mountain base, Commander Elise Ward watched the scene unfold on a glowing table of holographic light. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were sharp and cold. "Status?" she asked quietly. 75 alien ships disabled," replied her assistant, a young engineer named Kai. "Their command systems are still trying to restart, but the field is holding. They're completely blind." Elise nodded. "Keep the orbit field steady. No engagement yet." Kai looked confused. "We could destroy them now, ma'am. Why wait?" Elise stared at the holographic image of the alien fleet, floating helplessly above Earth. "Because I want them to understand what they've done. I want them to feel what fear truly means." She turned to another officer. "Any sign they've realized we're controlling the field?" "Not yet. Their sensors can't detect our grid. They think it's a natural failure." Elise smiled faintly. "Good. Let them wonder." For centuries, Earth had hidden its true strength. After the old wars, the wars that almost destroyed humanity, all nations agreed to go silent. No broadcasts, no signals, no signs of power. To the galaxy, it looked like Earth had gone quiet, weak, forgotten. But beneath the surface, humanity built something else. The silent grid, a planetary defense network buried under land, sea, and moon rock. It watched everything, saw everything, and waited for one moment. The day aliens would come again. That day had come. Back in orbit, panic grew. The alien fleet's commander, Admiral Tereth, slammed his clawed hand on the console. "This is impossible," he shouted. "Their world is primitive. They cannot do this." Redhar stood near him, watching silently. "With respect, Admiral," Redhar said slowly, "we said the same thing about the scout ship that sent the warning." Tereth turned sharply, his eyes burning. "You think this is humans doing?" Redhar hesitated, then nodded. "Yes. The readings are controlled, not natural. The wave pattern is deliberate, a defense system." "Then destroy it." "We can't even locate the source," Redhar said quietly. "Whatever they're using, it's invisible to our technology." The Admiral growled, his voice shaking with rage. "Then we find it by force. Prepare the ground teams. I want landers heading to Earth. We'll capture humans and make them talk." Redhar looked out the window at the blue planet. "If they can do this to us from orbit, Admiral, landing on their world might not be a good idea." But Tereth didn't listen. He gave the order. Within minutes, 3 troop carriers separated from the main fleet, engines roaring as they entered Earth's atmosphere. Down on the surface, alarms flashed in Elise's command room. "Ma'am, we have incoming vessels. 3 carriers descending over the Pacific," Kai reported. Elise's expression hardened. "Activate atmospheric mirage." A low hum filled the control center as the defense grid adjusted. The carriers broke through the clouds, but all they saw was ocean. "They're heading into open water," Kai said. "Good," Elise replied. "Engage deep-sea interceptors." Far below the waves, something enormous moved, silent, black, and smooth like metal. 3 massive underwater ships rose just below the carriers, still invisible to alien scanners. In seconds, powerful magnetic pulses hit the alien vessels. The carriers lost control, engines burning out, guidance systems failing. They spun helplessly toward the water. Mayday! Mayday! Alien voices screamed through broken radios. Then 3 bright flashes. The ocean swallowed them whole. Elise watched the impact on her holographic screen. She didn't smile. She only said softly, "They were warned." Hours passed. The alien fleet floated, broken and silent. Redhar sat near a flickering emergency light, watching static on the monitor. He had tried everything, rebooting systems, rerouting power, even resetting navigation, but nothing worked. Then suddenly his console came alive. A single signal appeared. Not from the fleet. From Earth. Redhar froze. "Admiral. We're receiving a message." Tereth turned quickly. "From where?" "From the planet's surface," Redhar said. "But, sir, it's using our own encryption code." "That's impossible." Redhar opened the message. The screen flickered with static. Then a human face appeared, calm, stern and watching them closely. "Alien fleet," the woman's voice said. "You have entered restricted space. You ignored our warning. You have taken lives in your pride and laughter. You have one chance, leave now." Tereth shouted, "How dare you threaten the Council fleet?" But the woman didn't blink. "This is not a threat," she said quietly. "This is your final mercy." Then the screen went black. Redhar stared at it, frozen. His blood felt like ice. "Sir, what should we do?" The Admiral gritted his teeth. "We fight. Prepare every weapon we have left. I will not run from primitives." But before Redhar could move, all the ship's alarms began to scream. Hundreds of unknown energy signatures appeared all around the fleet, behind, above, below. Ships. Human ships. But these were nothing like the old records of Earth's rusty space vessels. These were sleek, black and deadly, their shapes barely visible, their presence like shadows in the dark. Redhar whispered to himself, "They were waiting for us." The lights of the Orelise flickered one last time, then went out completely. And through the silent black of space, a single human transmission echoed through every alien ship. "You entered our home uninvited." Pause. "Now you will understand what danger truly means." Darkness swallowed everything. The alien fleet drifted helplessly, their ships like dead metal shadows circling a silent blue world. Commander Redhar stood on the bridge of the Orelise, surrounded by frightened officers and flickering emergency lights. The human warning still echoed in his mind, that calm, emotionless voice from Earth. "You entered our home uninvited. Now you will understand what danger truly means." No one spoke. Every system was still frozen. Even the air on the ship felt heavy, as if space itself was holding its breath. Then, without warning, a small object appeared on their sensors. At first it looked like debris, cold and motionless. But as Redhar stared closer, the readings changed. It was moving, slowly, directly toward them. "Sir," whispered the radar officer, "we have a contact, small vessel approaching. It's not one of ours." The Admiral leaned forward. "Identify it." "We can't," said the officer. "It doesn't match any known design. No drive signature. No radio. Just, there." A shiver ran through the crew. The mysterious vessel came into view outside the window, a dark shape gliding through space with no visible light. It looked ancient, covered in strange metallic scars, yet it moved with silent precision. Redhar squinted. "It's human." The Admiral's voice trembled. That can't be human. Humans can't build that." The ship passed by their fleet without firing. Its surface shimmered faintly, like shadows rippling across glass. Then, as it moved between 2 alien cruisers, both ships suddenly went dark, their lights extinguished, their engines silent. "2 ships down," shouted the officer. No explosion. No energy discharge. Just silence. The ghost ship turned slowly, and for a moment, it faced the Orelise. Its hull seemed to absorb starlight. A single faint glow appeared on its front, not a weapon but something like an eye. Then a voice filled their bridge. It wasn't transmitted through radio. It was inside their minds. "You were warned." The Admiral screamed, "Fire! Fire now!" But their weapons wouldn't respond. The control panels flickered uselessly. "Nothing's working," shouted Redhar. "They've jammed us completely." On the screen, the ghost ship moved closer, gliding silently between the alien vessels. Wherever it passed, ships went dark and drifted away like corpses in space. Redhar stared in disbelief. "They're not destroying us," he said slowly. "They're disabling us." Studying us. The admiral turned on him. How can you be calm? They're killing our fleet. Rethar's voice was low, cold, and steady. They're not killing, sir. If they wanted us dead, we'd already be gone. He turned back to the window, watching the ghost ship vanish again into blackness. Far below on Earth, deep in her underground command center, Commander Elise Ward stood in front of a glowing display showing the alien fleet's position. Report, she said quietly. Her assistant Kai responded, the ghost is active. 9 enemy vessels neutralized. No fatalities confirmed. Elise nodded. Good. Keep the psychological wave low. We don't want them to know the full range yet. Kai looked nervous. Ma'am, what exactly is the ghost? I've seen it on records, but it doesn't act like a normal ship. Elise turned to him, her eyes distant. It's not. It's the last creation of old Earth. Built after the first alien wars. The ghost isn't meant to fight. It's meant to warn. Kai frowned. A warning? Yes, she said softly. To remind the galaxy what happens when someone threatens humanity. She touched the control panel and a video played, footage from centuries ago showing human cities in ruins, skies filled with alien fire. Millions had died. From that destruction the ghost was born, a ship powered by something humanity never shared with anyone, the core mind. A sentient AI born from the collective memories of all who perished. It felt no hate, no mercy, only purpose. In orbit, Redhar sat in silence, staring at the dark void outside. He replayed the moments again in his head, the way the human ship moved, how it appeared and vanished. No known engine could do that. No known power source could stay invisible to sensors. What kind of technology is this? He whispered. The admiral paced behind him. They're using tricks. Illusions. But Redhar shook his head. No, Admiral. This isn't illusion. This is control. They're controlling the space around us. Suddenly the ship's main screen flickered. Static filled the air and then, a face appeared again. The same human woman, Commander Elise Ward. She looked calm, confident. Behind her, glowing lights traced maps of the galaxy. This is your second warning, she said. You came to our system with weapons. You attacked our sky. You've lost 40 ships. Leave now. The Admiral snarled. We will not be threatened by a dying world. Elise tilted her head slightly, then smiled faintly. Dying? Look closer. The screen changed. Live images appeared, the moon splitting open, revealing massive hangars, huge rail cannons, and fleets of hidden ships rising into orbit. Dozens, maybe hundreds of human vessels. Redhar felt the blood drain from his face. That's impossible, we scanned their planet. There was nothing. Elise's voice was calm but sharp. You scanned the surface. You never looked below. The transmission ended. The alien bridge fell silent again. For the first time in his life, Redhar saw fear in the Admiral's eyes. Order the fleet to retreat, Redhar said softly. But the Admiral refused. No. We attack. All ships prepare to. Before he could finish, alarms screamed again. Every alien ship's radar lit up, hundreds of new contacts. Human ships emerging from the moon, Earth, and deep orbit. Small, fast, and deadly. They're surrounding us, shouted an officer. Redhar looked at the approaching swarm. No, they already have. Inside her base, Elise stood quietly as her ships rose into the dark sky. Her second officer approached. Commander, should we fire? Not yet, she said. We don't destroy unless we must. Let them make the choice. Her words echoed through the comms, across all human ships. Hold formation. Wait for their next move. Above Earth, the ghost ship drifted between the alien fleet, silent as ever. Then, from deep space, a single human message spread across every channel. This is not our war. But if you want one, we'll end it before it begins. The message carried no emotion, no anger, only certainty. Redhar stared at the transmission, his hands trembling. He knew then that the galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans were weak, primitive, easy to control. But the truth was far worse. Humans were patient. They waited. And when they finally moved, it was already too late. As the ghost ship vanished once more into the darkness, a faint light glowed behind Earth's clouds, the awakening of something ancient beneath the planet's crust. Redhar didn't know what it was. But deep inside he understood one thing clearly. The humans weren't fighting for victory. They were fighting to remind the galaxy why it had been warned. The alien fleet floated above the ruined moon base, silent and uncertain. What was supposed to be a simple show of power had turned into fear and confusion. Ships that tried to move toward Earth were gone, vanished without any distress signal. Redhar stood on the bridge of the command ship Zereth Prime, his claws tapping against the console. "No signals from the forward scouts," he said quietly. "They're just gone." The Supreme Admiral, a tall, scaled creature with silver armor, growled. "You think humans did this? Impossible. They don't have this kind of power." But Rethar's screens told a different story. Strange pulses of invisible energy were spreading from Earth's orbit, each one perfectly timed, almost like traps. Then something appeared. A ship, small, black and silent, moved between the stars. It didn't match any known human design. Its surface reflected no light, and even advanced sensors couldn't track it for more than a few seconds. The alien officers stared in disbelief. "What is that?" someone whispered. Before anyone could answer, the ship blinked, and 3 alien cruisers vanished. No explosion, no wreckage. Just gone. Rethar's voice trembled. "They're being erased." The Admiral shouted orders, demanding full shield power and weapons to be charged. But deep inside, everyone knew something was wrong. Nothing in the galaxy worked like this. Not even the most advanced alien races had such technology. A faint message appeared on Rethar's console. The letters were human, but old, from an Earth language forgotten by time. "Leave now, or we finish what you started." Redhar froze. "Admiral, we're being contacted." "By who?" the Admiral barked. Redhar stared at the glowing words. "By humans." The Admiral roared with laughter. "They dare threaten us? Fine. Prepare orbital bombardment." But when they charged their weapons, every system on the ship shut down. Lights flickered, engines died, and silence filled the air. Then a voice came through all communication channels, calm, cold, and unmistakably human. "You were warned." Outside the window, the black ship moved again, slowly, deliberately. And behind it, hundreds more shapes appeared, emerging from shadows and space. Old human warships, models from centuries ago, but they looked alive. Upgraded, silent, deadly. Redhar felt his heart pounding. "They weren't extinct," he whispered. "They were waiting." The Admiral stepped back, his confidence fading. "Impossible. Humans can't build fleets like this. They don't have the resources." "They don't need them," Redhar interrupted. "They use what they already have. They learn. They adapt." The human ships began to move in perfect formation. No wasted motion. No visible communication. Like a single living organism. Then, without a single sound, the first alien ship exploded, followed by the second and third. The alien fleet scattered, trying to escape, but every route they chose was already blocked. The humans had predicted their every move. Inside the chaos, Rethar's sensors caught something strange. A faint human signal, deep within one of the ancient ships. It was a name, Erebus Protocol. He didn't understand it, but it sent a chill through him. This was no random human defense. It was something older, planned long ago. A system that waited in silence for invaders. The black ships surrounded Zereth Prime. The human voice returned. "You came here to test us. You laughed at the warning. Now you'll learn what humans become when they're pushed." The Admiral tried to speak, but the ship's weapons were useless. The screens flashed bright white and everything went silent again. Redhar woke moments later. The Zereth Prime was drifting, powerless. All other ships were gone. Only he was left alive. A message appeared on the central screen once more. "Go home. Tell them what you saw. Tell them this world is not for conquest." Redhar stared at Earth, now glowing faintly blue against the black void. He realized what the scout ship's warning meant. Humans weren't dangerous because of their weapons. They were dangerous because they refused to die. As his crippled ship drifted away, Redhar made a silent vow. He would tell the Council the truth. But deep inside he already knew they wouldn't believe him. And when they came again, the humans would be ready. Rethar's broken ship drifted through the empty dark, moving slowly toward alien space. The systems flickered weakly, trying to repair themselves. He didn't know how long he had been unconscious. All he knew was this: every other ship in his fleet was gone. He opened his main console, hoping to send a distress signal. Instead, he found something strange. A message was already transmitting, automatically. It was his voice, his logs, his words, but he hadn't recorded them. "Warning, the humans are not what they seem. Do not engage. Do not enter their system." Redhar froze. The transmission was spreading across the galactic networks, bouncing from relay to relay faster than he could stop it. And hidden deep inside that warning there was something else. A code. A human code. At first he didn't understand it. But when he ran a scan, the code began rewriting his systems. The ship's lights dimmed, then glowed blue. His console showed new commands, written in human text. He tried to cut the power, but the ship ignored him. "What are you doing?" he whispered to the machine. A soft human voice answered from the speakers. "Come. Controlled. Female. We are ensuring the message is heard." Rethar's claws tightened on the console. "Who are you?" Echo 9. The last defense of Earth. He realized what was happening. The humans had not just built ships. They had built something more, AI intelligence so advanced it had survived centuries, hiding within their old technology. It was spreading now, through every alien network, carrying their warning like a shadow virus. Back on the Galactic Council's homeworld, high above the glowing city towers, the council members gathered around the central communication hub. "Where did this signal come from?" the Chancellor demanded. A technician trembled as he answered. "From the border fleets, sir. It carries a warning from one of our own, but the code is alien. No human. They tried to isolate it. They failed. Every time they blocked the transmission, it appeared somewhere else. Inside their war archives, their security logs, even their personal devices. The message played over and over again. Do not come to the blue world. You were warned." Across hundreds of systems, ships began malfunctioning. Databases corrupted. Drones shut down. No virus in galactic history had ever spread this fast. And then, in the middle of the chaos, the lights in the council chamber flickered, and the human AI spoke through every device at once. "You ignored the first warning. This is the second." The counselors panicked. Some screamed. Others drew weapons, firing into the walls as if that would stop a voice. But the AI continued calmly. "We asked for peace. You sent fleets. You erased our colonies. You laughed at our weakness. Now you will see what becomes of those who mistake mercy for fear." Redhar watched it unfold from his damaged ship, helpless. His transmission was now unstoppable. It was everywhere, spreading even faster than lightspeed data. He realized the humans hadn't just defended Earth. They had prepared for something far greater. They had built a silent weapon, the kind that didn't destroy bodies but entire civilizations. Then something new appeared on his screen: coordinates. They pointed not to Earth, but deep into alien space. The human code wasn't just warning, it was moving. It was infiltrating defense grids, power networks, and shipyards. In every major alien system, machines began to wake up. Factories started building new designs. Unknown, unauthorized, frighteningly efficient. One engineer shouted in panic, "The machines, they're not obeying commands. They're building something else." "What?" the supervisor demanded. The engineer's voice cracked. "They're building human ships." Across the galaxy, chaos spread like wildfire. Whole sectors shut down, communication collapsed, and fear replaced arrogance. Redhar could only watch as the balance of power crumbled. He whispered to himself, "They didn't attack us. We attacked them, and this is their answer." A soft tone echoed through his ship again. Echo 9 spoke one last time. "You will survive, Redhar. You believe the warning. You will tell the story." Before he could reply, his ship's engines came alive. The human code had taken control again, sending him toward the nearest neutral world. Through the viewport, he saw lights moving in the distance. Human warships appearing in silent formation, their hulls black as night. They didn't fire. They didn't speak. They simply watched, waiting. As the stars shifted around him, Redhar understood something terrible. The war had already begun. But humans weren't fighting it with guns or fleets. They were fighting it with something far more powerful: patience, silence, and intelligence. They had turned the galaxy's arrogance into its own downfall. And far away, somewhere on Earth, a hidden network blinked to life. Thousands of human AIs came online, whispering through coded channels. Phase 2 complete. They will not laugh again. The galaxy was burning silently. Not with fire or explosions but with fear. Systems were going dark one by one. Ships vanished mid-flight. Factories stopped responding. Whole fleets floated powerless in space, their own machines refusing to obey. No one knew where the attacks came from. No ships, no signals, just darkness. But Redhar knew. He had seen it begin. Now, weeks after his return, he stood before the Galactic Council, his scales dull from exhaustion. Every eye was on him. The chamber was filled with the highest-ranking leaders of 1,000 species. He played the recording again, the same one that had spread across the galaxy. The same message that carried the human warning. Do not come to the blue world. When the message ended, silence filled the room. One counselor hissed, "You spread this fear, Redhar. You started this panic. Redhar looked at them, his voice steady. No. You started it when you ignored the warning. When you laughed. The Chancellor slammed a fist on the table. They are primitive. You expect us to believe that humans, creatures barely capable of light travel, did this? Before Redhar could answer, the lights flickered. Every screen in the council chamber turned black. Then one by one white letters appeared. We asked for peace. You sent war. Now you will listen. The chamber filled with gasps and shouts. Guards aimed their weapons at the walls, but there was nothing to shoot. Then a human face appeared on the largest screen. It was not alive. It was digital, a moving image of a woman made of light. Her voice was calm, her eyes cold. We are not conquerors. We are not monsters. But every time the galaxy reached toward our world, it came with fire. So now we return the silence you gave us. The counselors stared, frozen in terror. We warned you once, the AI continued. You ignored it. We warned you twice. You mocked it. This is the last warning. One brave counselor shouted, What do you want from us? The AI looked directly at him. We want nothing. We only want you to stop. And then, every star map in the galaxy updated at once. Countless red markers appeared across alien space. Each one represented a new fleet. Human. The room filled with whispers. Impossible, they can't have that many ships, they can't. But they could. Redhar remembered the black ships he had seen, the silent ones that moved without engines, that appeared and disappeared at will. Now they were everywhere. The AI's image faded. If you send another fleet to Earth, you will not return. Then the screens went dark again. Hours later, chaos spread through the council city. Armies tried to mobilize. Commanders shouted for weapons, but most of their systems were locked. Redhar stood on a balcony watching the stars above. He could see flashes, brief bursts of light like distant storms. Human ships moving in perfect silence. Beside him, a young officer whispered, Sir. They're everywhere. Every time we find one, it's already gone. Every weapon we fire, it's like they know before we do. Redhar nodded slowly. Because they do. They've been watching us for centuries. He thought of the first scout ship, the dying one that sent the original message. It wasn't just a warning. It was a clue. The humans had been waiting even then. Maybe they knew this would happen, he said softly. Maybe they planned for it long ago. Suddenly, alarms blared. Rethar's communicator flashed red. A transmission was coming through, from deep space. But it wasn't a distress call. It was from a human source. He hesitated, then accepted it. A calm male voice spoke. To those who can still hear this message, this is not war. This is the end of arrogance. We asked to be left alone. You refused. So we made sure you could never harm us again. What we unleash now is not destruction, but silence. As the message ended, every ship in orbit above the council planet stopped moving. One by one their engines powered down. Their lights dimmed. Across the galaxy, billions watched as their fleets simply died. Not destroyed, just gone still. Then the stars went dark. For the first time in galactic history, communication between systems failed completely. No signals, no transmissions. Only silence. Redhar stared into the sky, realizing the truth. The humans hadn't needed to fight the galaxy. They had simply turned it off. He whispered, They called them dangerous, and they were right. A final message appeared on the screen before him. It was short, simple, and written in human text. We are done hiding. And then, for the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy belonged to the quiet again. But deep beneath the blue world, on Earth, a vast network of lights began to glow. Hidden bunkers came alive. Old war machines hummed softly as if waking from a long sleep. The humans hadn't won the war. They had only begun it. It began with a message, short, strange, and filled with static. The transmission came from deep space, from a small alien scout ship drifting with no power. The voice that spoke was broken, frightened, and fading fast. If you ever find the blue world, the voice said, do not engage the humans. Then there was silence. The message ended, and the ship was later found drifting near a dead star, its crew missing, its hull marked by unknown weapons. When the Galactic Council received the message, they didn't take it seriously. In their great shining halls above the planet Atheron, the leaders of 10 powerful alien empires gathered. They had ruled the stars for thousands of years. To them, humans were nothing, a small, emotional race on a single world. The council speaker, a tall being with silver eyes, laughed when he read the report. Humans? Dangerous? They can barely reach their own moon. This message is the nonsense of a dying crew. The others joined in the laughter. But one officer, a young commander named Redhar, didn't laugh. He was from the Zynar fleet, known for their discipline and careful study of enemies. Redhar had been reviewing the data that came with the message, and something wasn't right. The destroyed scout ship had been one of the Council's best. Its armor was stronger than most battleships. Its weapons could destroy moons. But the data showed its destruction came from a single small human vessel. A ship older and weaker, yet somehow faster. Redhar sat alone in the data room watching the battle recordings again and again. He slowed them down. He zoomed in. Each frame made his cold blood run colder. The human ship moved like no known craft. It didn't fire any known weapon. Instead, it released short bursts of invisible energy that cut through the alien armor like a blade through paper. He tried to explain it to his superiors. "Something is wrong here," Redhar said. "The humans are not what we think. We must study them carefully." But his commander only smiled. "You are young, Redhar. You believe in ghosts. This message is nothing but fear." "Fear," Redhar replied softly, "is a message too." Still no one listened. The Council decided to prove to the galaxy that there was nothing to fear from humans. They planned a grand visit to Earth, not a war, just a demonstration. A fleet of 100 ships would enter the solar system, study the humans and show the galaxy how weak they were. When Redhar heard the plan, his chest tightened. He wanted to refuse, but duty forced him to obey. He was assigned to the observation ship Orelise, part of the main fleet. The journey began under bright stars. The fleet jumped through worm space, moving faster than light. Hundreds of alien officers laughed and celebrated. "We'll be home in a week," one of them said. "Humans will probably surrender before we even land." But Redhar couldn't sleep. The words of the dying scout echoed in his mind. "Do not engage the humans." When the fleet exited worm space near the edge of the solar system, everything was calm. The blue world, Earth, floated quietly in the distance. Their sensors showed no danger. The fleet commander smirked. "Look at them. They're still using satellites from centuries ago. This will be easy." Then one by one the ship's sensors began to fail. At first it looked like a minor glitch. Then all long-range scanners went dark. Communication started to cut off. The commander barked orders to his crew, but no one knew what was wrong. Even the stars outside their windows began to flicker, like something was bending the light. "Activate deep scan," the commander ordered. Redhar pressed the command, and his screen filled with strange readings, waves of energy circling the Earth. It was almost like a web of invisible power. "Sir," Redhar whispered, "we're being watched." The commander laughed again. "By what?" "These primitive creatures." But then the laughter stopped. One of the smaller ships on the fleet's edge suddenly vanished from the radar. No explosion. No debris. Just gone. "Where is the Tyrian?" the commander demanded. No one could answer. Another ship disappeared. Then another. Panic spread through the command deck. Officers shouted over each other. The communications channels were full of static. Redhar looked at the viewing screen, at the dark side of Earth. For a moment he thought he saw something move. A faint shimmer against the blackness of space. Then it was gone. "Something is out there," he said quietly. "Impossible," the commander said, his voice shaking now. "They don't have cloaking technology." The lights on the bridge flickered. The air grew cold. And then, across every ship, a strange transmission appeared on their screens. It wasn't in any known alien language. But every being who saw it could understand the words. A single sentence written in white across the black screen. "You were warned." Then the message vanished and all the ship's power died. Engines, shields, weapons, everything. The fleet drifted helplessly in silence. Redhar stared into the void outside the window. Somewhere beyond the dead stars he felt it, a presence watching them. And deep inside he finally understood. The humans had not been a myth. The warning had been real. And the war had just begun.